Hey everyone, it's Marla. Welcome back to Twinstrology, where we talk about twin flames, astrology, and ascension. Today we're going to talk about part 2 of breaking the 4-year cycle from December 2019 to December 2023. Before I get into the video, I just want to welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you so much for being here with me. I also want to thank the couple people that sent in donations to me last month. I really appreciate that. I have been turning off monetization on some of the videos that I've been doing, so your donations really help support this channel. So I do have some notes today to help keep me on track. There's a lot to get through. I don't know how you guys have been experiencing it, but since the 12/12 portal, there's been so much information coming at me that since that new moon, I've been working on this video, but I kept getting like higher and newer information. So I feel pretty confident today that I have the message that I'm supposed to give you. So let's get into the video. Like I said, this is going to be part 2 of the Breaking the 4-Year Cycle video. And I was actually really amazed at how many people found that video and were resonating with the dates that I shared. I did a video early last year about the 10-year cycle that was ending. And so now this year started a new union cycle. And so this is like a smaller cycle within that cycle. And those cycles are smaller cycles within the 36-year ascension cycle. But yeah, it was great that so many people are resonating. And one of the reasons I feel it's important to talk about cycles like this is because it's important for people to see and understand that it's not just your individual journey, but that there is this whole collective experience. And because we ultimately are one and we're all part of the collective, we all get affected by these cycles, which have a lot to do with the planetary energies that are coming in, of course, and that's part of it. But it's useful to understand that other people are experiencing the same thing. Number one, because we know we're not alone, and many of you out there don't have one-on-one human support for your twin flame journey. But also, it's understanding that because we're all going through that, and it's not just you that are going through it, that it's something in the energy that is driving it. Therefore, why put negative energy or blame on your twin for what is happening? Because we're all subjected to this, if that makes sense. Like basically at the end of 2019 started this wave of dark energy has an opposition to the ascension energy. We are in a dualistic planet. So for everything that's happening, there's an opposite force that is also happening. So this dark energy came in and it affected pretty much all of us, and it affected the whole collective, you know, because going through COVID and that sort of thing, the whole world was affected by that. So the separation from your twin, you have to understand on another level, you know, yes, there's this human level of something that happened, but then there's also this broad global, or maybe we could say universal collective level that kind of took hold of all of us. So if people were experiencing triggers that made them act out in certain ways, it was because of the underlying energy that was happening. So how I want to approach this today is I want to talk about the broader energy that's coming in, that's kind of creating an activation for humanity. And then I will talk about what this means for twin flames in particular. So the information that came through was from the teaching of St Germain. I personally have a strong connection to St Germain. I know many people do. Many of you watching this do. And he is a great source of wisdom, both in his channelings, but also, he's pretty easy to connect to and get information directly from him as well. But this is a lot of a continuation of my previous video, which was twin flames activating the threefold flame, because we cannot fully embody this next wave of energy that's coming in until we've mastered the threefold flame. And actually, we can look back over our whole ascension process. Again, it's helpful to look back and see how far you've come, but also look back over, what people were teaching. What were people teaching in 2012? And you can see this kind of continuation of ideas and concepts that grew and expand that bring us right to where we are today. So I've been getting a lot of information this year about how our energetic fields were changing and how this was going to be key to our ability to create or manifest things. I've talked about things like alien technology, cords, past life interference, and energy leaks, and how all these things needed to get sorted out, preferably this year, in order to strengthen our aura and energetic fields. But it really wasn't until these last couple of weeks that I fully understood what was happening and why it was happening. And that was because of some things that I took from St. Germain's teaching, specifically from the AM Discourses. So what St. Germain talks about, specifically in Discourse 3, is what he calls the electronic belt, or what is sometimes called the electronic circle or ring. So we all have this tube of light around us, and the electronic belt shoots off from this. I will try to insert an image of this here if I can. I'm not very technologically savvy. But this belt connects us to source and allows the energy of source to flow down and through us all the time. The problem was that we had all this interference going on within our energetic field, and that was not allowing us to retain this very powerful energy. What I realized was that what they were showing me was that the alien technology and cords were actually the matrix connections. Part of the distortions of the matrix is limiting us from the awareness that we are all an aspect of God. And this God force energy was just seeping out of our energy field because of all these other attachments. So here's what St. Germain says about this. In the beginning of man's individualization, he was naturally surrounded by this magic circle. But as the consciousness was lowered more and more, rents were made in this great circle of force, causing leaks, as it were, until it was almost entirely disappeared. Now, students of the light must go to work with no uncertainty and consciously create this electronic belt about themselves, visualizing it perfect with no rents or breaks in its construction. Thus, it will be possible to consciously reach within the electronic belt of the Godhead and there receive limitless wisdom, love, light, and the application of simple laws by which all creative power is possible. So yeah, that's why Spirit has been telling me that it's really important for us to work on the things that are creating these tears, rips, perforations, cords within our energetic field and siphoning off energy. But I just want to be clear that it's not just the matrix that can siphon off this energy, but our own consciousness can too, by the misdirection of our thoughts and emotions. In fact, on some level, we have given our permission to be connected to the matrix because nothing can overcome our free will. So it's not a given that your electronic belt is in full force unless you are consciously working to heal and empower it. So it's through this electronic belt that the divine energy is channeled to us. But also when it's healed, it creates a ring pass knot around us. So it becomes this really powerful force that keeps out negative energy. So this electronic belt then is meant to be this protective force to keep out the dark energy, which wants to infiltrate our thoughts and our emotions so that we go into states of fear and doubt. That's really the only power that the dark forces have over us. The dark forces also want to make us believe that God has forsaken us so that we lose faith in the good or we lose faith in love. So what changes are happening now and what is helping us end this 4-year cycle? And I just want to say that the cycle doesn't automatically end in December 2023. But really, December 2023 is a tipping point. You know, we've been in this battle of light and dark, and we're getting to this place where the light's winning. And of course, that full moon in Cancer that's happening on December 26th is just days after the winter solstice, which represents the longest day of the year when the world is most dark. But then after that, we start building back in light again. So it's going to be something that, again, evolves like everything. It's not just a one specific point in time, but it's an evolution to this energy. But what they're saying is that many of you have healed enough that you are beginning to activate this electronic belt so that you can retain this God force energy. And this is what is making your energy more powerful. And not only does this empower us, but because our energy field is so powerful, we can affect change in people around us as well. So then this activates what I'm calling the Christ bridge back to the Godhead. So we have this tube of light, right? We have the electronic belt around us, and then this tube shoots up to God, and God has his own electronic belt, and then we are connected. And this God force energy can come down, and the God force energy is always coming down. The problem before was that the energy was just dissipating and leaking out before we could really utilize it. So when this becomes healed, then this energy gets stored up around us and it builds and it becomes this powerful force that we can then discharge when we need to. For instance, like if we are finding ourselves getting attacked by the dark and maybe our thoughts or emotions are attempted to be dragged down, we can discharge some of this energy to shift our consciousness back. But also, this is like the force that we use to manifest things. This is also really going to start building our light bodies as well. So before, what would happen was when we would find ourselves in a lower vibrational state and like discordant energy, either in our thoughts or our emotions or both, then dark energy from outside of us would be able to infiltrate us and make that energy bigger and like really take us down, bring us down into like dark night of the soul type energy. And so we weren't able, so it would be more difficult for us to maintain the energy of love and harmony. So going forward, we're going to be able to stop that from happening because we'll be able to maintain a more balanced, harmonious state and keep our vibration in the love frequency. So after I did that 4-year cycle video, I went back and I watched some of the videos that I recorded in 2019. One of the most important videos I did that year was called the Sirius Portal, and there was an alignment in Capricorn and Cancer in that year as well. And I was talking about how that energy was coming in to open our hearts more and that it was going to activate our high heart. And I feel like it was that energy that was coming in It was also a big year for the masculine to awaken, which started in like 2017. There was a powerful eclipse in 2018 for awakening the masculine energy. And I feel like this is what precipitated that kind of wave of negative energy. But anyways, that video, the Sirius portal, I realized was a companion video to my Sirius shifts video that I did this year. And we talked about the major planets when they cross Sirius and how that was affecting us, and often how that was affecting our energetic field. So this was like a culmination of what we started clearing up or activating in 2019 through the activation of our heart chakra, and leading us now to where we are by strengthening and embodying our field and this electronic belt. So we're ready to start receiving this energy, but we do have to be aware that we need to be able to maintain this frequency of love. So we continue to build mastery over our thoughts and emotions so that we can more and more maintain this frequency of love. We have to be in pure heart, or this energy could be used in very negative ways that we definitely don't want. But trust that your higher self is going to guide you. And I don't think we have to worry, because it's not like it will be fully activated until we're absolutely ready to have it fully activated by being able to maintain these alignments. At the same time that this is opening, right, we're getting this deeper connection to source and the love from source. And that is going to start making it easier and faster to find this balance. So let's just read another excerpt from St. Germain and the AM Discourses and what he says about this. Again, I must remind you that this limitless, mighty power of God cannot intrude its wondrous powers into your outer use except by your invitation. There is only one kind of invitation that can reach it and loose it, and that is your feeling of deep devotion and love. When one has generated about himself this electronic belt or ring, there is no power that can penetrate it except divine love. It is only your consciousness of divine love that can penetrate within this great inner blazing belt of the Godhead, through which the Godhead sends back to you its great outpouring. The soul who is strong enough to clothe itself in its armor of divine love and go forward will find no obstruction, for there is naught between your present consciousness and this mighty transcendent inner sphere to obstruct the approach of divine love. Now I shall give you a secret that, if understood by the angry or discordant individual, would tear him or her from that destructive activity, even from a purely selfish standpoint. The angry, condemning person who sends out destructive thought, feeling, or speech to another who is poised in his own God power receives back to himself the quality with which he charged this power, while the poised person receives the energy which serves him, and which he automatically requalifies by his own poise. Thus, the creator of discord through anger and condemnation is consciously destroying himself, his world of activity, and his affairs. I've talked about this in other videos, but in the last couple of years, my own views about manifestation have changed a lot. And I feel like these teachings by St. Germain are really aligned with how I was understanding it. Because what I believe is that in order to really be the potent manifestors that we're meant to be, we need to be aligned with source energy so that we're creating through source rather than creating things through our ego. If we are creating from our ego, then we're going to be creating things that we don't necessarily want. So that's why it's so important that we get to this level of purity, allowing source to work through us. And as Germain is saying, when we allow this and we're in that alignment, our force of creativity is so much stronger and more powerful. But yeah, it's through this threefold flame of power, love, and wisdom that we are in this right alignment. And remember, in that video, I talked about, how we can be out of balance and we can have, be too much in desire for power, or our love energy is creating the imbalance and we weren't able to access the wisdom. I mean, the wisdom is really source energy and us being able to channel source energy. We also need to really start dropping the energy that we give to the outer world, because the outer world is all that illusion that makes up the matrix. The outer world is not the true world. And I think this is a good place to kind of switch over and start talking about how this is affecting twin flames in particular. So first of all, I had this realization that I want to share with you about why we might choose to incarnate with a twin flame. And it's I hear so many people get angry that they're a twin flame, when for me it's a real blessing. So I thought I would describe it this way, and maybe it would, help change people's perspective if this is something that you're really kind of frustrated with, or wonder, why did I incarnate with this twin flame? So when we come down here to this plane of existence and we get plugged into the matrix, all of our attention gets focused on this material realm, and we forget everything else, and we only think that this is reality because this is solid. We forget that God exists. We forget that we're an extension of God. We feel alone, abandoned, separated, and those feelings become so real that that's all that we focus our attention on. Having a twin flame is like having a material aspect of God in form. I think if you've ever really connected to your twin flame, you will see them as their Christed, perfected self. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily acting that way, but you have the ability to see beyond their 3D self and into this higher version of them, which is really the reflection of God that is coming through that person. And you're able to see this in them in a way that you can't necessarily see it in yourself at that time. But that person triggers you to go and heal until eventually you realize that this great energy and this great light that you see in them is actually in yourself as well. So through your twin, you have your energy focused here in the material world, but you start to incorporate other planes of existence as well, because you have all these mystical experiences around your twin, and you begin to awaken. You begin to awaken to the fact that the material world is not the totality of your existence. And all of this leads you to return to God. Yes, in some cases, having a twin flame can be a double-edged sword, because you get these little jolts into other dimensional realities that expand you. But when you're only focusing on the material realm, you can also get pulled down into the depths of deepest despair, which is that core wound of feeling abandoned by God. Now, a big stumbling block for many people on the twin flame path is their ability to navigate the 3D and the 5D. Now, keep in mind that when I'm talking about 3D and 5D, that's really not accurate descriptions, but it's the best way to describe it so that everybody can understand. But because we are too focused on this material world, we believe that the 5D connection to our twin is an illusion, and the 3D is what is real. And this is very detrimental to our purpose that we're trying to achieve here. The 5D is part of the blessing of our twin, because through our connection, we slowly begin to break free of the material world. The 5D connection is there to teach us that the love is always there, and that the 3D reality is an illusion. there's a lot of programming out there too that wants to sabotage us from understanding the 5D, that wants to keep us in the 3D. And I've talked about different ways in the past in which we have to be careful with our twin flame journey about getting limited in the 3D world. One of the ways that can happen is when you become too focused on the sexual relationship and you're allowing that to prevent you from expanding your consciousness. I want to read another excerpt from St Germain. All students should dwell earnestly upon the great truth that where your consciousness is, there you are, for I am everywhere. Long dwelling in consciousness that there was space, great distance, or that there is time is all but the outer creation of man. Therefore, to step through this gossamer veil that separates your outer consciousness from its full inner power and activity is but a state of thought and feeling. Those who are reaching to the light so earnestly, desiring to live in and be children of the light, are dwelling constantly in these higher spheres. The beauty of these spheres surpasses the fondest imagination of the outer consciousness. When you enter them consciously and at will, you will find all creation there just as tangible as your physical buildings are here. Know there is no time or space. Then the knowing of the vastness of eternity is within your grasp. To enter a higher sphere than your physical world in full consciousness is but an adjustment or change in your consciousness. How do we do this? The answer, by knowing we are constantly there. Affirm often. Through the power of the electronic circle which I have created, I am no longer touched by doubt or fears. I joyously grasp the scepter I am, and step boldly forth into any of these higher spheres that I wish, retaining perfectly clear conscious memory of my activity there. In this way, one may quickly find himself enjoying limitless freedom and the perfect happiness of being active in any sphere he chooses. The great delusion the outer consciousness of mankind has built up, creating time and space in its belief, has been the great stumbling block to humanity's freedom. Those who have reached the great disillusionment that wealth or the outer effect of things cannot bring happiness will understand with great blessing that within their own creative thought, power, and feeling are held perfect happiness, perfect freedom, and perfect dominion. So when we embody this energy, we know that we are loved by God, and we know that God is love. And we realize that everything is God, therefore everything is love. If everything is love, how could anyone not love you in truth? How could you not love anyone in truth? Sure, dark energy gets exchanged between you, but that's a creation of the disharmony externalized in the outer world through negative thought and emotion, and not the ultimate truth. You see, we have to take our consciousness higher, and in that higher state of consciousness, there is no separation, there is no pain, there is only love. So when you still your mind and you think of your twin and you go to that 5D place with them, there is nothing but love. The same if you still yourself and you connect with God, there is nothing but love. Everything else is an illusion. Everything else that is happening in this plane of existence is a form of illusion. I've been asking my guides what % of twin flames are in union. And every time I ask, I get the answer 100%. In December of 2019, I posted a channeled message called I'm Already Here, in which I talked about how your twin is already here. It's interesting with this 4-year cycle because, again, I feel like that, well, maybe that was in response to the negative energies that were really starting to come in, was Spirit giving us the message of looking past all of these 3D illusions and just focusing on the fact that this person is already here. Your union already exists. And it's only these illusions of the matrix that make us believe otherwise. I want to show you some of the cards that I pulled when I was tuning into this energy. So this is what the energy of this cycle was about. We had heart, Celtic knot, the Milky Way, and scuba diver. So it was about learning that love is eternal and that we are one, and how to get to that 0 point field so that we could remember all of this. It was so funny because I asked about that cycle again, that 2019 cycle, and what it was about. And this was the first card I got again. This bridge closed. No. But it was all leading us to our transformation. And it's leading us to healing the collective. One of the things that my spirit guides told me a few years ago was that you can't heal separation from union. Like, you have to have the challenge of the separation. You have to have the resistance in your life to actually learn how to overcome it. So whenever we have these bouts of separation step in, it's only to help us overcome the previously held beliefs and limitations. We can see that in the dark energy too. On one level, we can look at it as it's here trying to sabotage us. But on the other hand, we can look at it as, without being shown what the limitations are, without being shown what's in the subconscious, we can't clear that collective separation either. So everything serves a purpose. And if we keep searching for the higher and higher perspective, the dark can't win. Because the higher we go, the more we're going to see the true reason behind it all, and how ultimately it serves as that which pushes us. It's like becoming a diamond. And I'm sure you've heard, like, this ascension process is becoming a diamond. And it's the difficulties that we experience and have to overcome that create the tension that gives us the strength. I think, in fact, that St. Germain talks about that in the discourse as well, and how it is making us stronger than steel, the challenges that we go through. So the Twin Flame Oracle cards that I pulled in how this cycle was going to affect us in 2024. The first card I got was We Are Coming into Union. And one of the things I loved about this card coming up was, I don't know if you can really see it in the reflection here, but we've got a Black man and a white woman on this card. And in another video I did a couple months ago about the energy shifts, we have this twin journey, which is the micro reflection of what's going on. And then we have this big collective journey. And so we're wanting to come into union with our twin, but we're also wanting to come into union with everybody on the planet. We're trying to create this energy of love and peace. And they're using this energy to try to come between us. And we have to overcome it. So union on so many levels. But first, they're wanting us to focus on changing our thoughts about union. Yeah, we've been working on that for a long time. It's frustrating, but we're getting there. Sometimes I think it's hard to see that things are actually changing, because they do change slowly. Again, it's not just you, but you think about, we have this whole collective and we're all shifting and working together, but it's happening. A big message that I got was that we're at this tipping point, this watershed moment, and we can't see it from our perspective. In fact, things are looking quite dark, and as much as these cards tell a different story, I think that 2024 is going to be a dark and difficult year in many ways, because we're still going to be dealing with a lot of dark energy. What we can't see and we have to remember is that they are our spirit guides, have a different perspective, and they really see what's going on. And in the higher realms, it's changed. The light has pulled through. The light is winning. If the light wasn't winning, we wouldn't be talking about these changes. So we have to stay focused on that and the fact that things are shifting, and unions will happen. I also got, I don't feel deserving, and it's affecting my levels of abundance. This is also changing because of the shifts that are happening as far as our ability to manifest things. But what happens is our thoughts keep getting lowered and going into not feeling worthy, feeling separation, and it's discounting the other energies. And my heart is with another right now. I have to finish this karmic contract in order to be free. So I don't think it's by chance that the last video that came up in December was about the karmic relationships. Not just, I want to clarify, if you didn't watch that video, I wasn't just talking about, the third person interference if your twin is married, for example. But this third party interference is coming from possibly your friends, your family, your coworkers, and sometimes all of the above. And we have to just pay attention to things, because what happens is the dark energy can work through other people. And that's a great way for them to affect us. Because sometimes, even though we're feeling really strong, when another person comes in and perhaps, for example, would start attacking us, maybe yelling at us or worse, or trying to pull us back into our old programming, that takes a significant amount of our energy to overcome that. But going forward, it's going to be easier because of the electronic belt and the strength of our own field. So yeah, in 2024, we begin to know that there is nothing that can block our unions except for our own fear. And the illusions of the 3D keep so many twins from embracing the 5D and knowing this truth. So in 2024, we began to know that there is nothing that is or that can block our unions. This is so important because this 3D reality keeps so many twins from fully embracing that 5D contact that could help them by lifting their vibrational fields. And there's so many that get trapped in the lower realm of this twin flame energy. And they continue to believe that God has forsaken them and that this whole journey is a trick. Twin flames have been very much under attack in many ways over the last 4 years. And this year, there especially was a big push by this whole twin flame universe stuff that I talked about in the other video, and how that was the dark energy trying to reinforce all these negative stereotypes about twin flames to make people feel ashamed if they're on the twin flame journey or have these doubts. Once again, trying to pull people back into the doubt. But remember, if all is love, what is there to doubt? And it's very possible for you to have people around you that will try to shake your faith in this, depending on who you connect with on the twin flame path, what groups you're in, what videos you watch. You can let a lot of negativity come in, or you can block it. Remember that just like any religion, the New Age and the whole kind of twin flame topic can be hijacked by lower vibrational energy, just like anything else. And we have to use our discernment. And if there's people around you that want to bring you down because they know about this journey, or maybe they know about your person, you might have to let those people go. But those that can maintain their faith in the twin flame journey and the purity of the twin flame journey, which is not just about creating a romantic relationship, but about using the twin flame connection as a springboard for your advancement into higher consciousness and your ascension journey to heal your own stuff. When you can maintain your faith, you become such a positive light and positive force to help create this wave of divine love that can begin to help everybody rise, even those that have been attacked and had the dark energies wanting to infiltrate them and keep them down. So this is very important stuff that we're dealing with for the whole collective. So what is to fear about love? As we said, God is love. We are God. We are love. Everything is love. So what's to fear? What's to fear by letting your twin in, by embracing your 5D connection? This isn't just about your twin, but working with your twin in the 5D begins to train us that everyone is love. I will qualify these statements, as always, by saying that this doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries when needed. Okay? I'm never advocating that you let someone mistreat you. But the whole point of what I'm talking about here is about you becoming empowered and not being a victim to anything outside of yourself, or anything within yourself for that matter. So that doesn't mean there aren't boundaries. But when you have the electronic belt fully activated, lower vibrations won't get through. When you reach high enough, there won't be lower vibrations within the spiritual connection with your twin. You have to understand this is a circular energy. You can't block your twin without blocking God. You can't block God without blocking your twin. This is all one infinite energy. So don't be afraid to open your heart and love. And this is how you're going to be rewarded with this. So as more people begin to hold these truths consistently, this is going to be reflected in a lot of change within the world. As I've said, our energetic influence over others becomes stronger. But that's not through any kind of manipulation of them, because we can't overpower their own free will. But one of the ways this will happen will be just because we'll be living our best life. We'll be happy. We'll be successful. And not necessarily successful in the traditional way that success is measured, but successful in happiness and in our life force, our vitality, our health. You probably experienced in your own life how you've shifted these things and how you then attract people to you, because people want to know what are you doing and how they can achieve what you have. So one of the ways that you change them is through example. Like also attracts like. And the more love you express, the more love is attracted back to you. We don't need everybody to be holding these energies to create massive change. Even 144,000 people holding this frequency of divine love would be enough. So here's what St. Germain says about this. Here is a vital point students should understand. When one consciously reaches within the inner electronic circle of God, he makes his outer expression and activity a channel for the ceaseless outpouring of the pure essence from the Godhead. This in itself, even though he be entirely silent in outer expression, is one of the greatest services to humanity, which but few not ascended are aware of what it means to mankind. The one reaching within the electronic circle becomes a continual outpouring, and this very radiation alone is a tremendous blessing to all mankind. Thus, eon after eon, have there been those unselfish messengers of God, through whom was poured forth the blessing of those not understanding the uplifting presence of this surging energy. When there is one or more found who can be an outpouring for this great welled up presence, it is likened unto the first trickling of a leak in a dam. As the consciousness is held steady and firm, and as the rent in the dam increases, greater volume of water comes forth. For at last all obstruction is swept away, and the whole force back of it is poured forth into use. Unlike the water dammed up that rushes forward, dissipating itself because it is without direction, the God power thus loose goes direct to the channel of consciousness most receptive, and there builds itself up, awaiting the opportunity to rush forward more and more. Thus the student of light, aside from his activity in dispensing the truth, becomes, as it were, an artisan well, from the depths of which flows this mighty essence of God. So as we finish, I do want to say that this change is very much needed because, as I said, I feel that 2024 is likely to continue to be challenging, even though we know that the light is winning and the light is overcoming the dark. It may not yet appear that way in this material reality. And so we have to keep our focus on the truth that is there in that 5D consciousness. On this plane of existence, the dark forces will likely continue to do what they can to sow discord. And that's why it's so important that we hold this steady vibration in the face of any attempted discord. One of the things I feel is that the tension in Israel-Palestine conflict is going to continue to increase, and there's several reasons for this. One thing I feel is because there's this resurgence of the Christ energy, and there's this push to return to Jesus. I haven't really talked about this a lot, but at the equinox last year in 2022, I felt like this such strong wave of Christ energy and this connection to Jesus. And I've always been connected to Jesus, but it's like a whole new level. And I'm noticing as I look around me that it's not just me, and that many people are reconnecting or connecting to the first time with Jesus and the Christ energies. We're really getting called back to this very pure energy that was embodied by Jesus and also the Buddha. And really everything that we need to know to ascend is contained in the teachings that they brought us. So I think we're just going to continue to look at, reinterpret, and embrace these energies more and more. So of course, Jesus walked in Israel. 3 powerful religions have very sacred sites in the area of Israel-Palestine. Some of these sites are not even physical anymore, but the energetic vibration is still there, activated within the grid. So this is a perfect place for the dark energy to try to come in and create chaos. And it's really working to create division in people and to further this energy of separation. Remember, separation is what the dark wants to happen in order for their side to get the upper hand. So I think we can expect more challenges in that region over the next 6 months, unfortunately. And I hope that you all can send positive energy and send the violet flame and pray for that area. Another thing was I was speaking with a friend of mine, and he was explaining to me some concepts within Tibetan Buddhism. And one of these was that there's a gatekeeper to every realm, and that the gatekeeper for this realm is Lucifer. So in order for us to move to the next realm, we must overcome the temptations of the material world, just as Jesus and Buddha did before us. So remember, Jesus and Buddha went through temptation. Lucifer came to them and offered them riches and wealth beyond their imagination if they would give up on God and turn to him. This time period is our temptation. It's our challenge to say no to greed and all that is attached to greed. So remember, the dark is just the opposite of the light. And in order for this world of duality to be created, there had to be the opposite of the light. It's nothing that should cause fear, but just to understand that it's the nature of the world that we live in, and we can and will overcome it through faith and love. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy New Year. I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll speak to you soon.